When we all start the gym, we often feel self-conscious about how we look and also how much we can actually lift. As we don't want to appear out of place or look weak, we'd look around and see many people lifting much heavier weights than ourselves. However, the one piece of knowledge you must master is everybody's journey in the gym is unique, and I'll explain how to progress while following your own fitness path. So in the event that you don't have access to heavier weights or you just don't feel that confident enough to increase the weights, I'll get into some tips that you can utilize to aim to progress and actually build more muscle. Firstly, always remember the term heavy is relative. So if you're watching this right now and you're always thinking in your head, I cannot lift heavy, just remember that heavy to you is heavy. So whether lifting 10 kg on a bench press is heavy for you, it is. So don't think you have to go into the gym and try and follow the gym bro in the corner that's lifting like the super big dumbbells. You all have to do what's relative to you. As at the end of the day, the gym is a personal journey. So you may start off at 10 kg, but over time, you'll gradually get stronger as you continue to keep training. So don't think you need to follow dude on the left that's lifting a mad weight. You may get there, you may not, but you'll definitely improve if you focus on your own journey. Now we've got that out of the way, for those of you watching that may potentially be able to lift heavier than you currently are right now, but you don't have access to the heavy weights to be mentioned, what you can do to create more progressive overload, which is basically what helps muscle growth and strength gains. So for example, say you're normally doing a bench press and you're hitting that sort of motion. The more you slow down and control the weight, one, the more you're going to feel it in the muscle group, and two, that is adding extra stress, which is making it harder, because it's much easier to lift weight like that when using momentum and you're kind of somewhat bouncing. Whereas if you're truly slowing down the negative and the eccentric too, you are really going to feel it, and it's going to feel a lot harder. Pick a pace that you find that you can do it still at least the 10 to 12-ish reps. But yeah, basically slowing down the rep portions definitely can fatigue and work your muscles a lot harder. Next up, if you can't increase the weight, you have to create intensity some way to make sure that the exercise sets you're doing don't feel too easy. So say you're doing sets of bicep curls, and instead of doing like a normal rest and doing another exercise, you'll go straight into tricep pushdowns, and you're doing it with a nice small gap. For that reason, it's taxing your body a lot more, pushing you out of your comfort zone and making the exercises harder. So basically, when you finish your workout, either drop the weight down and do another set of a lighter weight, or you do a superset, which is choose another exercise, but you go straight into it right after your set's done. And for example, say if you only have one set of dumbbells and you're doing your dumbbell bench press and you have nothing else to drop down to, it'll take too long to take the spindles off. All you can do is drop to the floor and do like maybe 5 push-ups. It all depends on your strength level. If you can typically do, say, 10 push-ups in one go, then I'd say do 5, just because you don't want to tax yourself out. You can't do the next set. So I'd say in between your sets, literally do your 10 on your dumbbells, then drop down, do 5 push-ups, and then do your rest period, then get back into the exercise. So that way, even if you can't lift heavier weights, you are still pushing yourself and creating more progressive overload. Muscle growth, there's many things that can contribute to it. Yes, the most common one is increasing the weight. However, there are many different things you can do. So definitely try incorporating in drop sets or supersets to make the exercise much more intense. Next up, you can try incorporating in isometric holds, and that is just a fancy way of saying pause reps. Say you're taking bench press. If you pause there slightly for even if it's a second and push the weight up, it's going to feel a lot harder than if you just kept doing it, even with the slower pace I mentioned earlier. So adding in pause reps definitely can tax you, trust me. Even with no weight, when you do pause reps with things like body weight squats, it will become taxing, because holding your body weight up when you're just like mid-air is going to become taxing as well. So overall, when it comes to incorporating things like this, it makes the whole workout that much more intense, and even the specific exercises, it makes them more challenging. And the whole aim is, the more challenging it is, the more it's pushing you, which means you are progressing. What does my guy always say? Train harder than last time. So as you keep increasing the intensity, it will ultimately yield results down the line. And don't forget, you can also combine some of these tips I'm doing. So you can do pause reps also with a slower pace. The more you add on together is the more intense and harder each exercise is going to become. Another great one you can do, simply from the aspect of it will help balance out your physique, is adding in unilateral exercises. And this basically means when you train independently of another. So for example, rather than doing the shoulder press machine where you're doing it all together, you could do one at a time and really focus on that one shoulder, and you'll soon see if one of them has an imbalance, like one's weaker. Like for me, typically, if I do shoulder press, my left shoulder is weaker by quite a bit. So I'll always start with my weaker side first, and I'll match the reps. because you don't want one side of your body to naturally become much stronger than the other side. That goes for anything, your legs, your biceps. So definitely do that. And always remember, start with the weaker side first. Too many people think to start with the strong side first because that's the one that does the best, and they try and make the left meet that. But the problem is that most times it does not work out that way and it fails. So if you start with this arm, if it only gets to 9 reps instead of the 10, you do the 9 reps here rather than consistently making this one progress while this one's still being left in the background. And the one I'm going to put least simply because I'm not a massive fan of it, but it's last resort. So typically most bodybuilders or people that want to build muscle tend to not really go past 12 reps. But in the scenario that you don't have heavier weights and maybe everything I've already mentioned, you've already done, increase the reps up. So go from 12 to going to 20 reps. But I'll be honest and say, if you've incorporated most of the things I've already mentioned, I don't feel like you'll need to resort to this specific tip where you need to increase the reps so high. I think going past 12, you're getting more into this almost endurance space. So if your sole goal is to build more muscle and size, I personally feel like at this point, you need to add in more things, even if you purchase resistance bands, just to make the exercise you currently do just a little bit more challenging if you can't add actual weight. Anyways, people, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll leave another one here that I think you'll also like.